Hi, this is Tim from Time to Sew with this month's workshop. This time it's decoupage, and we have 3 sets of decoupage incorporating the drawings of Alphonse Mucha, the famous Art Nouveau painter. These are die cut sets with cardstock and all the other bits and pieces included. The only additions to the packs that we need are foam dots or foam squares. These are the double-sided self-adhesive squares that are going to be used to give the spacing between the layers. I'm using 2 different packs, standard 5x5 and 2x2, the little diddy ones. These are great because they save having to cut normal ones in half and end up with your scissors all caped in glue. The set comprises of 2 die cut sheets. So first off, I'm just detaching each of the pieces from the sheet, and then I'm going to mount the various layers of the decoupage one on top of the other using foam dots. I'm going to do the 4 panels and then assemble those different elements into the card. Now if you look closely at this one, you'll be able to see how detailed this is. Quite often die cut decoupage are only roughly cut around, but there's an awful lot of detail with this one. And these are white elements that you can see around the arms, etc., have also been die cut. Now the easiest way I found of getting rid of those is using my pokey tool and just pushing each of those pieces out. So this is all the elements that I need to create the first panel. So what I'm going to do is just sort out the order in which I'm applying them. Then I'm going to add the foam squares, peel off the backs and start layering them up. Now to save your boredom, I'm going to speed the film up for a little while. So with the magic of video, we're going to whiz through this layering up of the first panel. Obviously the subsequent panels are just the same process. Isn't it a pity that some of the repetitive pieces of crafting you can't actually work at this sort of speed? Anyway, here we go. Foam dots going on. Little bits and pieces of the die cut that I missed, I'm just taking out with my pokey tool. Taking off all the backing layers. And then positioning onto the backdrop. And again on the next piece. Back of the tabs off. And on we go. Her arm here is so small, I'm using the small dots. We're virtually there now with this panel. It's the last little pieces that give it that real depth. And coming up now is a little sneaky preview. This is that panel on the finished card. Now back to the method. So here are each of the panels decoupaged up, and all I'm doing here is applying the foam dots and mounting them onto the provided cardstock. The cardstock's pre-creased and pre-cut and forms this rather nice zigzaggy screen. There's the final one in place. And there we go, the finished card. So there we go, that's card number 1. And off we go now with card number 2. As before, here's the pack. It comprises of 2 sheets of die cut and comes complete with the cardstock. So first thing I'm going to do is just push out each of the pieces. Once that's done, I'm going to apply the double-sided foam dots to each of the pieces and start mounting them up. Here we go. Nice little clipping out of pulling the back off the foam dots here to save time. And you can see the card beginning to grow as each of the layers goes down. The thing that's so nice about these sets are the really subtle colouring. She's very accurate to the original paintings. So that's one of the pair done. I'm just using a piece of the finishing strip that also comes on the sheet to run down the inside of the card. So I'm going to snip it with a pair of scissors to length. The pattern here is a really detailed interwoven ivy pattern, which corresponds to the trim at the top and bottom of the card. Here we go, this is the second one. Quite similar. And we're going to do it in the same way. So, first job, to remove each of the pieces from the sheet. I assume you've got the idea of this now. So we'll skip the rest. So now I'm adding each of the subsequent layers, carefully making sure they line up. Once again, I've edited out putting on the foam squares and peeling off the backs, as they can get a bit boring after a while. There we go. Just position that on top again. There's a nice contrast with these sets between the sheen that is on the printed decoupage sheets and a rather nice matte texture to the cardstock provided. As you can see in this shot here, there are some little tiny diddy bits. They just go to give that extra depth. Now that's the main motif of the card finished. So I'm just starting to lay out the 3 elements that go into the front of the page. The sort of band top and bottom, central image, and that banding at the top. So once I've got the bottom image in, I'm just dropping the centre in place And there we go, there's the finished card. Once again, I'm going to use some of the strip that comes on the sheet just to give that a bit of detail to the inside. And there we go, the finished card. This is the third pack from the set. Again, it consists of the card blank and 2 sheets of die cut. So let's get going, see what we can do with this one. Here we go again. This is very similar to the first card that we made, in that there are 4 panels that go to make up the card. So the first thing I'm doing is removing the different elements for each of the 4 panels. I'm then going to layer those using the foam squares in the standard decoupage method, and then mount those 4 elements onto the backing card. Now the backing card itself is pre-cut, and I'm just running my tape runner over that back disc, and then I'm going to attach the back element of the picture over here. So here it is. Oh, bit skew with. Let's get it square. That's it. Smooth it down. Ready for the next bit. So this is the front element of the card, to which I'm going to start attaching the 4 figures. Just checking on the instructions I've got them in the right order. And away we go. Foam squares on the back. And down we go. It's a little detail element that sits at the bottom here. And dark strips which run down between the pictures. So rather than decoupage these strips, I'm going to stick them straight down to the card. So I've just glued it with the tape runner, positioning it at the top and running it down in that little box pleat section. Same for the other side. Just finishing off with the second layer, little trim element at the bottom, second figure going into place. Just making sure I'm lining up to that dark trim line and also the score lines for the fold. And the final one. Just leaves the little trim in the bottom. So that's both elements of the card finished. And I'm just going to apply this front bowed section to the rear. Just making sure it's the correct height so that the card will stand squarely. There we go. And that's the finished card. Here you can see the close-up detail of one of the figures. Well, I've hoped you've liked this workshop and that you like the finished cards. As always, all the equipment is available on the website.